The house was completely silent and still. The TV was unusually turned off, and there were no smells wafting from the kitchen or tinkering sounds coming from the garage. Morty stood at the top of the stairs, checking for what felt like the 100th time to be absolutely certain no one was home. His parents had gone away on a weekend getaway with his grandparents and Jacob, his grandmother's lover. When he really thought about it, the whole situation was kinda weird, but in any case, they had left him and his sister Summer in the care of Grandpa Rick. He was certain that Summer was out for the night with friends, and Rick was usually off dimension hopping or flying drunk all over the galaxy on a Saturday night. Once more, he listened closely to be absolutely sure of the silence that rang through the house. The last time he'd thought he was home alone, Summer had walked in on him. Everything was clear. The house was empty and Morty was alone. He decided to work rather quickly than risk interruption again. Sliding back into his room, he flung open his underwear drawer, sliding his hand through its contents and knowing exactly where he placed what he is looking for. His fingers curled around the garment, silky and smooth in his fists. Fastly, he began pulling off his clothes, shirts, pants, socks, and when he finally slid his underwear down his hips, his cock, already half-hard at the thought of what he is doing, bobbed as he moved out of his room into the bathroom. Under the bright lights that flooded on when Morty touched the light switch, he examined what he held tightly in his hand. A small pair of silky pale yellow panties with a white lace trim. With a deep breath, he slipped his legs inside, pulling them slowly up and over his ass. They were a little too small for him, leaving now his fully erect dick and balls to press against the fabric. He examined himself, admiring his own little butt in the mirror as he twisted and turned, drinking in the sight of himself before he bounced happily down the hallway. Still, his face held a little tinge of red embarrassment, even though he is completely alone. Deep inside, he knew what he was doing was meant to be shameful, but nothing else drove him as crazy as the feeling of the soft material against his skin. His cock struggled to escape the fabric, thinking about being fucked silly in those little panties. Well, almost nothing. When he reached the end of the hallway, Morty paused. What if someone came home? His dick twitched hard, reminding him that he was way past the point of worrying about that now. Pre-cum had already started to soak through the silk, and he reached down to rub his erection. With the other hand, he pushed open the door to his grandpa's room. It smelled like him in there, and Morty took a deep inhale through the nose as he slid onto Rick's bed. Morty had all but stopped feeling guilty about liking to dress up in girls' underwear when he began to feel this way about his grandpa. One thing didn't seem so bad when he knew how bad the other was. Laying his head back onto Rick's pillow, Morty's hands began to wander up and down his own body, stroking his smooth skin and causing goosebumps to rise up all over. As one hand slipped down to rub his dick through the fabric, he let out a hungry cry. He told Summer he did it everywhere in the house, and this was no exaggeration, but his favorite place by far was anywhere Rick frequented, because it smelled heavily of whiskey and Morty could pretend it was Rick's hands all over him. Like the times he'd lay in Rick's bed, touching himself and enjoying the feeling of his rough blanket scratching against his back. Both hands had now made their way down, one stroking his cock and the other one gently squeezing his balls, and he couldn't hold back the sounds that were bubbling up in his throat. Eyes shut, he pictured Rick's big hand fondling him through his panties. Rick. Something about having those things on turned him on so much he was already panting and arching his back. They made him feel sexy and dirty. As he breathed hard, thinking about Rick stroking him and pressing his own hard cock against Morty's ass, his fantasies of his grandpa were all so good and realistic. He could have sworn he could hear him breathing heavy alongside him. He spread his legs a little, pressing his hips up and into his own hand, grinding against it. The wet spot of pre-cum was growing, and Morty felt hot and sticky, needing release. When he took his free hand and began pulling the panties off, a gruff voice sounded out, sending chills up and down his spine. "Keep those on." Morty's eyes shot open, looking immediately to the doorway where his grandpa was standing. Stop! Who the hell writes this pedophilic shit? Joke or not, they need to be thrown in jail. I'm done. It's not even halfway through the story, and I'm done. This is just creeping me out. Miss me with this weird shit. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, comment, and click that bell notification so you can catch all my new uploads. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.